Rabotai, we have a sefer. Guys, Rabotai, we do not have a microphone today, so you're gonna have to excuse me for the outside noise. There is a sefer which I happened to see when I went to the mikveh. They had right by the mikveh. You guys probably saw it sometimes, which is called Ki Tetzela Milchama. When you go out to war. So he says, he brings over here a few advice how a person has to be able to conquer his Yetzer Hara, especially now in the summer times, meaning your evil inclination. Right now we have Tammuz, Av, and Elul already. Yom Adin is coming up, the judgment day. So a person has to wake up, not to take these days lightly. Slichas. Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaro. Rabotai, so he tells you over here a few advices. We're going to try to go over one today, B'li Neder. Hopefully maybe the second one tomorrow, B'li Neder. He says, how does one defeat the Yetzer Hara? And everything we see over here is particularly surrounding bad machshavot, bad thoughts, woman, lust, desires. Because as we'll see, that's a man, that's what he's built off. So he says over here, Ha'ita Rishon, the first advice, Limud Torah. I'll go back to that, Rabotai. First and foremost, learning Torah. Tzarich shetedeu achim ikarim, you should know, my dear brothers, Ki Hazal HaKedushim omrim b'Masechet Kiddushin Daf Lamed Amud Bet. Our Chazal tell us in Masechet Kiddushin Daf Lamed Amud Bet, which is Daf 30. Tanu Rabban, the rabbis taught, Kacha Kadosh Baruch Hu Amar Lahem L'Yisrael. Thank you. This is what Hashem said to the Jewish people. Rabotai, listen to this carefully. What Hashem said to the Jewish people. You with me? Very important. Why? Beni, my son. Banai, my son. Baraiti Yetzaharu, Barati lo Torah Tavlin. I created the evil inclination, and against it, as an antidote, I created the Torah as a spice to calm it down. Ve'im atem oskim b'Torah. If you're gonna learn Torah, you're gonna toil in it. Ein atem nimserim biyado. You're not gonna be given over into the hands of the Yetzer Hara. That's when you learn real Torah. So you can ask me a simple question: how can we see people learn Torah and they still do have errors? Because they're not learning Torah the way they're supposed to be learning Torah. Okay, if a person really bemet learns Torah, it is almost very hard to say that he's gonna fall. Why? Because the Torah protects him, Hashem protects him. Like the story with Rabbi Kiva, Nur, the Amr, and everybody else in Masechet Kiddushin, where they almost fell and the Torah protected them.
What about Korach?
No, Korach something else. I don't want to touch upon that right now. I'm talking about arayot, illicit relations, not kavod, not money, illicit relations. Like the pasuk says, "Shenemar halo im tetiv." If you will do good, se'ed, then you will be uplifted. Pay close attention to what the Gemara says. Pirush pasuk. Rashi explains the pasuk like this. Im tetiv omer Rashi. Katuv b'pasuk ki lekach tov natati lechem torati al ta'azovu. Right? Hashem says, I gave you the Torah, do not abandon it. V'hainu im tetiv. What does that mean if you will do good? A person thinks by doing a lot of things that he's doing good. But what it means over here in this pasuk, if you will do good? Im telamed et Torah kedosha. If you're going to learn the Holy Torah, shenikreet tov, which is called tov, az yitkayem becha se'et. Then you will be lifted, meaning to say against over your Yetzer Hara. You're not going to have the Yetzer Hara overrule you, but you're going to overrule the Yetzer Hara when you're learning the Torah. However, he says the other way around. Ve'im ein atem oskim b'Torah. But what happens if you're not osik b'Torah? You're not toiling in Torah. Atem nimsarim biyado. You are going to be handed over into his hands, the Yetzer Hara. Then like his puppet, like his puppy, or puppet, whatever you want to call it. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, La petach chatat roves. Rabotai, it's a pasuk. The pasuk says, at the entrance, the sin crouches. Meaning it waits for you to jump on you to make you do averos. Ve'ula b'siyata d'shmai efshar lefaresh lepetach, shezeh kasher ata yotze mepetach beit hamedrash, u'me'atorah kedosha miyad chatat roves. Rabotai, very sad. He says it's possible to explain this entrance. Where's this entrance found? He says the study halls, the Batei Kantiot. Once you leave the Beis HaMedrash, once you leave the Torah Kedosha, immediately the sin crouches in order to attack you and make you sin. Therefore he says, the Gemara continues and he says, Tanit be Rabbi Yishmael, Bnei Adam pega becha minuval zeh. The yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael taught, Beni, my son, im paga becha minuval zeh, if the Yetzer Hara came across you, where should you bring him? If a person has Yetzer Hara to do a virus or to do something bad, where should you bring him? Mashchechu lebeis hamedrash. Drag him to the Beis HaMedrash. Bring him to the synagogue. Im evenu nimuach. If he's made out of stone, he's going to melt. He's going to dissolve. The Torah that you learn is going to break him. V'im barzelhu mitpotzetz. But if he's made out of iron, the Yetzer Hara, when you learn Torah, you will break him. You will make it explode. Shenamar halo kol divrei ke'esh. Noam Hashem ukekapatish yifotzetz sela. Like the pasuk says, aren't all Hashem's words like fire? And like a hammer is able to break a rock. So we see over here the power of the Torah, how it's able to go ahead and control anything and everything. If you learn it, you have control over the Yetzer Hara. You don't learn it, you have the Yetzer Hara controls over you. Achim ikarim lo katuv. Rabotai, I want to be very careful when I say this line, because a lot of us think we go to a rabbi, we take a bracha, mezuzah, tefillin, everything what you guys do is very nice. But you have to know what helps. When a person chas v'sham lo oleinu needs an operation or surgery, or chas v'sham lo oleinu, I heard somebody needed to amputate his leg because of a certain sickness, that doctor ain't going to tell him antibiotic, Tylenol or Advil. These things won't do anything, Rabotai. This is exactly what you guys do when you go to rabbis. You come over there half naked, or the husband all day long, he does averos, and then he comes and he says he got a flat tire 3 times in a row. So what could it be, Rabbi? What could it be? You're driving to the wrong place. What could it be? You go to the... Well, no, I don't want to say where you're going. So he says, Rabotai, Achim Karim, my dear brothers, look at Tuv, it's not written in the Torah, She'im yesh lacha Yetzer Hara, it doesn't say in the Torah if you have the evil inclination, Telech lemikveh, it doesn't say go to the mikveh. Does it say go to the mikveh? What did the pasuk just say? Or telech larav levakesh bracha neged Yetzer Hara, or go to a rabbi to ask a bracha against the Yetzer Hara. You know, that's a lot of us do. Give our children bracha, because he has no desire to learn Torah. Rav Chaim Igal says something nice. He has a lot of desires, not to learn Torah, but for everything else. Rabotai, but he says over here, Kimbuvan, like it's self-understood, Shezeh tov me'od lekabel eitzah merav. It is very important to get advice from a rabbi. Echli natal min ha'yetzer, how to save yourself from the evil inclination. However, he says, however, lo lesmoch al bracha bilvad b'li ratzon lekayam. Do not rely on the rabbi's bracha alone without having a will to fulfill what the rabbi says. Getting a bracha alone will never help you, Rabotai. You have to also do an action. That's what he says over here. For sure, if this Yetzer Hara came across and he wants you to sin, do not go to the canyon to start taking a trip, or to go to the beach to start swimming in the water. Where there's Yetzer Hara itself and you add to Yetzer Hara. What does the Gemara say if you have the Yetzer Hara? Where do you go? You have to drag them to the Beis HaMedrash. And it's going to be hard. But once you do it, once you bring him in, you start learning, you'll see it leaves you. Over there you're going to be able to break your Yetzer Hara. Like you need to, and you're going to be able to melt it. Only Beis HaMedrash and not anywhere else. Rabotai, 2 minutes. I know I'm over the time. I just want to read for you over here something. He says over here. He says, everything that we write in this sefer, this is in order to save oneself from illicit relations, forbidden relations. Listen to this carefully, Rabotai. This is why people don't chab what it means woman. Men think they have the power over women until they fall. They see they're nobody. There is no chance to save yourself from a woman to hear good Torah, to learn good Torah, etc. There is no other way you can be able to save yourself from the Yetzer Hara. Because there's nothing else that's going to be able to save you from women, from desires, rather only learning Torah. And that's what I want to conclude with this, and it's a Rambam. He brings it as a halakha, by the way. אין מחשבת עריות מתגברת אלא בלב שפנוי מן התורה. וכן נפסק להלכה ברמב"ם. הלכות איסור ביע פרק כ"ב הלכה כ"א וזה לשון הקודש. Rabotai, listen to this carefully. In this sefer he says that a person's machshavot, the only way he's able to have illicit relations because his mind is free from Torah. That means to say that if you have a guy that's with you or a friend or you guys are going somewhere and there's no Torah in your mind and there's no Yerushalayim and you're not thinking about Hashem, one thing that you think about, you should know, is everything but that. Woman, desire, lust, bad thoughts. You think about Averis, but not the right thing. And he says it's halakha in the Rambam. Look what he says. More than this, they said a person should turn himself and his machshava to words of Torah. You should try to broaden your knowledge with Torah. Why? Arayot can only overtake a person when his mind, when he's not thinking about Torah, when he has no Yerushalayim, nothing. Then the Arayot come, Rabotai. And he concludes over here like this, Rabotai. ברגע שאתה מפנה את המחשבה שלך מהקדוש ברוך הוא או מהתורה הקדושה, at the moment when you take your mind off from Hashem or from His holy Torah, מיד פורצים לשם מחשבות של זנות. Immediately in your mind, you know what jumps in? Adultery, ni'uf, sleeping with women, ta'avot hashim, lust for women, machshavot, bad thoughts, virhurim al hashim v'chol avlei ha'olam hazeh. Rabotai, and every other empty and vanity of these worlds go into your mind when you're not thinking about Torah. Like that's what the Gemara, that's what the Shulchan Aruch paskins in Siman Kuf Nun Hey. The importance of learning and working at the same time. So you're never free from anything. So you should always be busy. The second you're free, that's when you should know you're going to follow Oleinu. And that's what he concludes over here. We're going to conclude over here, and he says, like the Gaon Vilna said, if a person is not going up and up higher and higher, you should know you're not standing in one place. Yored mata mata. You're going down and down. That's what Rabotai we have to right now. We're right now in the month of Tammuz. We got Av coming up. Hashem should pass well, and then we have Elul Rabotai. And now it's the summer, and now this is where all the potiferet, all the girls Rabotai, they're trying to make a sin. They're trying to go out there. There's no reason for them really to be provocative out in the streets. This is not their bedroom where they have to be with their husbands. A woman needs to know that she has to be modest, Rabotai. I'm not telling her to dress like she's in prison. She has to look beautiful, but at the same moment, Rabotai, she has to be modest. A normal look, but not in a way where she attracts guys' attention. Because I want to put it like this. I heard from one gadol, when a woman dresses in a provocative way. For example, sometimes you walk in the street, you have a woman, she puts, I don't know what you call this, Bath and Body Works, whatever you call this. I used to work in Manhattan. The store used to be 3 blocks away from me. I used to work over here. You could smell, if a woman would pass, 10 minutes later you could smell her perfume. Rabotai, the Yalkut Yosef Paskins clear in the Yalkut Yosef, in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, if a woman has a lot of perfume which is going to entice a man, it is forbidden for her to go up into a bus or a train. Because by her being in that bus, she makes the whole room smell good, and what happens? Men start having bad thoughts. That's what Rabotai, every single woman, every single husband should see to it that his wife is dressed in a normal fashion. Because like this Gadol said, when she dresses in the way when makes other people stumble, you know what happens? Every man that stumbles, she'll be held accountable. That's called lifnei iver lo tnei mikshol. Do not put a stumbling block before a blind person. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen. Amen.